Yes, sir. We are back with the Prospects Talk podcast with your boys, Danny, Doug, Fernando, and Eli. What's going on, Doug?
I'm a little bit deflated, I can't lie.
Please tell us why.
Why is that?
Come on. Why you gotta rub it in like that? It's still
We
a
just wanna
sore
hear it.
subject.
So,
It's right after the game.
congratulations to the 2019 NBA champions, the Toronto Raptors.
Well fought series.
Yeah, it was a great game.
It was a really good game.
Now,
I don't think there was any double-digit leads.
No, it was
I'll
back and forth the
say-
entire time.
Doug, you've been a poor sport this whole series,
Facts.
Bro, come on.
but I'm not going to stoop to your level today. I like to win with humility, and that's not often.
Ooh. Lesson number 2 of humility for Doug.
I'm going to teach you a lesson today.
Take that
Oh,
board to school.
It was a hard-fought battle. I do know the Warriors went through some unfortunate situations, but they fought like champions. They definitely showed the heart of a champion out there on the court. So congrats to the Warriors as well.
Yeah. So enough with the formalities. Let's get down into the good stuff. I want to talk about how Steph is not clutch whatsoever.
Damn, that's where you want to start?
That's what I want to start with. I'm coming through for them throats, bro.
You want to go right at it.
Steph
Damn.
is 0 for 8 in go-ahead field goals in the last, I think it's the last minute of
20
the game.
seconds.
Last 20 seconds of his playoff career.
I've always said he's not a clutch player. He makes big shots throughout a game. He gets hot. That's normally in the third quarter. But he's never been a guy to finish a game.
He can't close.
He's the most clutch unclutch guy. Because he'll hit some daggers throughout the game,
Yes.
but at the end he can't.
Daggers as in they're up 5 and he hits a 3 to separate the game.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
he ain't a closer.
He's not going to win the game for you.
And I think this series proved that even so much more. Them being without Clay at certain points, them being without KD, kind of showed that Steph, while as great as he is not the kind of guy that can will his team to a win on his own.
So it almost felt like, I know it was a close game, but you can almost feel that if Clay was in the game instead of Steph,
It's a different.
they might have won the game.
Let's say Steph
Absolutely.
goes out and it's Clay
They could
in.
have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, because also Clay does a little bit more on the defensive end too.
Yeah, absolutely.
But not just that. I think that
Clay was on
Just-
fire.
having
Yeah.
that option, the other splash brother, it takes a little bit of the pressure away from Steph, and it also creates a little bit more havoc for the defense as well.
Yeah,
But what
exactly.
Eli is saying is, let's say if Steph is the one to go out, and it's only Clay by himself for the rest of the team, he's saying that Warriors still might win that game.
Oh,
So, and I agree.
That's tough to say. That's tough to say.
I agree.
I don't think
Steph scored 20 points tonight.
Yeah, Steph didn't look good.
As to be the quote
Scored
unquote
21 points.
21 points. As the quote unquote best player on the team, you got to do more than that.
Well, I've said that KD is the best player on the team, but I think Steph is the most important player on the team.
Obviously not. Looks like Clay is the most
It's hard to
important
beat a Raptors team that is very good. Like, don't get me wrong. Maybe if it was like the second round of the playoffs and Steph's out there by himself,
But not for
I could
nothing.
see us winning. But it's really hard to win when 2 of your top 4 guys are out.
But as good as that Raptors team was, it's not like Kawhi was Kawhi.
Yeah, this was his worst game. He did not play a good game. Both-
Steph and the Warriors lost to Van Fleet and Lowry.
Dude,
Well, Siakam
Lowry
had a
had
really
first
good game.
quarter.
Lowry had the first half. Van Fleet had the second.
Yeah.
They played amazing.
Well-
And I want to give a big shout out to Kyle Lowry. He gets a lot of crap from a lot of people,
Yeah, Kyle Lowry showed up.
including you guys. You guys have taken shots at Lowry, but
I'll admit that, yeah. I take shots at Lowry.
you've taken a couple shots
I took
at
one
Lowry.
shot, and it wasn't really a shot at him. It was just more of a testament of how good Steph is. And I said Steph was going to cook him, and he didn't. But that's because Van Fleet played the defense a lot.
Yeah.
But Kyle Lowry played amazing, and I'm so happy he's an NBA champion.
They needed a big Kyle Lowry game, and he showed up.
He showed up on the biggest stage.
He scored their first 11 points in the game.
Where
Yeah, he
you
was-
can say his whole career has been, thrown at him like, hey, you're not clutch. You don't play good in the playoffs. And this playoff run outside that, game 1 in Orlando, I think he's been amazing. So,
Yeah.
hats off to Kyle Lowry.
Yeah. Even bigger hats off to Van Fleet. scoring 12 points in the fourth quarter.
Bro, me and Eli, I remember in the regular season, we were just making fun of how Van Fleet could not hit a shot.
We were calling him Van Feet.
Van Fleet could not hit a shot. He was the worst pick in FanDuel because he won't make anything.
He had
in the playoffs, he just turned
outside of
on.
Kawhi.
Step up.
I think outside of Kawhi, when it comes to the most important players on that team, I think it comes down to Van Fleet and Gasol.
Gasol, he proved me wrong this series.
He proved all you guys wrong.
Yeah,
you guys were trying Gasol.
I thought. I always knew he was good.
No, Danny, you said that this is not the series for him. You said he will be too slow.
Yeah, I said that. Yeah.
Yeah, I agreed. We said that we thought that he wouldn't be able to keep up with the faster Golden State team that likes to play in transition. But they didn't play in transition.
We didn't. We played big, and we played the pick and roll, and we played through them.
Yeah, the Raptors guards really stopped any transition offense for the Warriors, which gave Gasol, Ibaka, like Siakam. Well, Siakam's good, but like fast player. But yeah, Ibaka and Gasol specifically.
I will say this too, Doug. After the first game, which Siakam cooked Draymond, you said it will never happen again. He closed out the series cooking Draymond.
He did
to win the series. With with one of those last possessions.
Yeah, and it's funny because we were as that happened, we were talking about it, and we were like, Siakam hasn't done much since that first game, and then he balled out towards the end of this one. This is game 6. Now, question: Who? I think it was Fernando that had Raptors in 6, right?
I had Raptors in 6 too.
I had Raptors in 7.
Yeah, me and Nando both had Raptors in 6.
Yep.
Good call.
Yeah, I know my Raptors.
So, Doug, when do you plan on paying up on that bet?
Soon.
Hey, good thing this is on the podcast.
Yeah, because you're never seeing that.
I'll see it.
What are your guys' big takeaways from this series?
We're NBA champions, baby. I'm hyped. I'm super hyped right now, guys.
I mean, nothing really surprised me this series.
It had to. You were saying that you were going to win the series.
Yeah,
you were saying that you were going to win 3 straight.
I didn't. The injuries really.
He's doubling down now.
No. I think the injuries really got to like the Warriors themselves. But
that's what happens.
Siakam
when the team
showed
is poorly
up.
Constructed.
Yeah, Siakam showed up, which I wasn't expecting that.
Gasol showed up.
Gasol played really well.
You weren't expecting that. Lowry
Van
played
Fleet.
better than you thought.
No, I think I always thought Lowry was going to be good. I just didn't he just exploded this last game. But for the series as a whole, I think he played to my expectations of him. Kawhi was Kawhi. Danny Green,
had games.
Danny Green.
He had
He had like 2 games.
He had moments.
Yeah.
He had moments in games.
So Kawhi being the MVP of the series, is that well deserved?
Oh no, of course.
Hands down.
Hands down.
It has to be. It has to be. Yeah.
He was so. I mean, what he did in game 3,
4.
game 4.
Yeah, game 4.
What he did in game 4 was
out of his mind.
Absolutely crazy.
Even at the end of the game 5,
yes,
with a 5 to 3 minute stretch,
he almost
won
that
everything.
game by himself. Yeah,
he just made everything.
Yeah,
it was automatic.
No, definitely well deserved Finals MVP. I mean, you can't really give it to anyone else.
So if you were to give the second fiddle MVP to somebody on the Warriors,
Van Fleet.
No, on the Warriors.
Oh, on the Warriors.
Yeah.
Well, let me say this.
Clay.
I say Clay.
Yeah, you guys were gonna shit on me, but I was gonna say Clay.
Clay. It has to go to Clay. I think it's very obvious that
Clay
he's the most important.
He's a true warrior. He's a true warrior. He fought through the injury in game. Well, at the end. Well, he fought through his initial injury that happened in game 2. Played in game 4. Was injured again game 6. Went out there, made some free throws.
So let's talk about
the Warriors are just
let's talk about the injury.
Nah.
So he goes down. He looks like he's in a
like
lot
he just
of pain.
Tore his ACL or MCL, or he looks like he really, really injured himself.
He gets helped off the court. He's in the tunnel, and then they say, Clay, you have to shoot these free throws if you plan to ever come back. And you just see him get off of me and walks right back onto the court.
Mm-hmm.
Makes his free throws like a true G.
And then
and kind of jogs back a little bit, right? I wouldn't say it was a full run back.
It was like a 60% run.
Yeah. And he was ready to play, right? They fouled Siakam to get him out of the game, and he was trying to keep him in the game.
And then when they told him to go back to the tunnel, back to the locker room, he ran even harder back there.
He sprinted back there.
Mm-hmm.
They said he was doing jumping jacks. He was jumping. He was getting pumped. And then he was declared he couldn't play. Now, let me ask you, do you think the Warriors took these precautions because what happened to KD last game?
Yes.
Definitely, without question.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The medical
There's
staff.
no way that they're risking this again.
Their PR department can't afford to mishandle another injury.
I agree. No, that's why I asked. I agree.
They would never be able to sign another player. I mean, this front office would not be able to sign another free agent for the longest of times.
I think even if the Warriors pushed to Game 7, I think Klay would have been ruled out for Game 7.
I mean, you saw him leaving the arena in crutches.
Yeah.
So
I mean, God forbid, but can you imagine that happen? Klay going back and injuring himself?
Oh,
they would have. The Warriors would never have heard at the end of it.
So Doug said something while we're watching the game about the Warriors medical staff. Go ahead and tell all the viewers what you want to tell me.
This is interesting because apparently the Warriors have a new medical staff this year, and they came from the NHL, whose team had the most injuries last season.
You know the NHL team?
I don't know.
Which that's very particular.
It's strange.
It's strange. I think they're saying that so it looks like they just did a bad job.
Not conditioning the team well.
Not just that, but on analyzing KD's injury instead of covering it up.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. The whole mismanagement of KD's injury is just bizarre to me.
Let's get into it. Let's talk about KD's injury.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we can. So first off, throughout the entire, from the inception of his injury, everyone was told it was a calf injury.
But from the naked eye, we all thought it was an Achilles.
Anybody that knew what they were looking at said Achilles, but we were being told calf.
KD on record said he thought it was his Achilles immediately.
Red flag number 1.
Yes.
Then we hear that he's going to be back in a couple games. He ends up not being back.
He misses a whole series.
Red flag number 2. Right?
Yeah.
Who knows what's going on behind closed doors in their media staff? Maybe they just don't want the media to know.
They go down 3-1.
They go down 3-1. KD comes back, still under the assumption to everyone else that it's a calf injury. Now, mind you, while they're losing games in this final series, you see KD waiting for them in the tunnels to the locker room with ice on his ankle right behind his Achilles. So it's very obvious it's an Achilles injury. And that's not something to play around with at all. You see plenty of players get Achilles injuries and never the same again. He comes back for Game 5. Tears his Achilles, ruptures his Achilles in Game 5. And then you see a very apologetic Bob Myers in the press conference. Fake tears. You think it's fake tears?
I wouldn't go as far as fake tears. No,
I think they were real tears because he realized how bad he messed up.
Yeah, I think it's more along those lines because he knew what he was risking, and it's kind of more like he's mad that he got caught.
That's why I call it fake tears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crocodile tears is what they call it.
That's rough.
He played a gamble, and you never gamble somebody's health.
Nope.
Absolutely not.
It was one of those, they hit the panic button because they were down 3-1. They said, we really, really need KD.
Make sure he's ready.
And
that's pretty much what they said.
No, 100%. And what's funny is that for 3/4 of that game, they didn't even need KD. And they still won the game.
And the fact that they made KD believe that he was ready is crazy.
But granted, the way that the Warriors started, and you can see KD's impact in the beginning of the game. So it's, it was evident that he was making a pretty significant difference.
He was playing great.
His gameplay.
He was playing great, but still, that's no exception.
Yeah.
I think that's a filthy move on the Warriors.
Oh, 100%. They're disgusting.
No, I don't think the Warriors intentionally misdiagnosed his injury.
No, I think I'm not saying that they intentionally said, okay, this is an Achilles injury. We're telling him it's a calf. I think they were just blatantly inept and didn't know how to handle the injury properly, obviously. And instead of seeking second opinions,
well, he did. He did seek a second opinion to get cleared for Game 5.
But it kind of seemed like everybody was on this sick joke.
No, it was so weird. What was incorrect is the medical staff specifically told, I'm not sure if he told Bob Myers, but Kerr before the game said the medical staff said there's no chance of further injuring his like Achilles or the calf other than re-injuring
and that's why I'm
the same.
calling them liars.
So once again, that's why I say that they're inept.
Exactly.
It was misdiagnosed.
Because if you say there's no chance of re-injury, there better be no chance of re-injury. He goes out there and in the first quarter he re-injures. Was it the first quarter or second quarter?
Early second
quarter.
Early second quarter.
Goes and ruptures his Achilles. I mean, come on. There's no other word for that but inept. So
that's a great word.
That's the only way to describe it. And that's the reason why I say it's disgusting. Because you are a professional team, professional organization.
You're humans, but beyond that, you are a human, you know? For you to risk somebody's health, whether it's KD or
and if you're that
McKinney, it doesn't matter who it was.
No.
I agree. But if you're that confident, go ahead, Nando.
No, I just want to add this. I was reading an article stating that the specialist who was working with KD, he was a little upset, stating that, you know, typically with an injury like this, it takes about 90 days for a full recovery, you know. Wow. And they brought him, 90 days to pretty much get him back, you know, to do like, you know, hard performance workouts, to do, you know, to get back into, you know, having your edge, having your speed. And what is it? They brought him back, what, like 30, I think it's 32 days after the injury. Mm-hmm. So, you know, they obviously, they had the idea that they intentionally wanted him to play, and they knew that it was way too early to realistically clear him. So that's what's dirty, is that they knew that he was not fully ready to be back on the court.
And if you're going to say there's zero chance of re-injury, you have to be very, very confident in your professional opinion.
That early
especially with a potential injury like that, the Achilles, you know how sensitive the Achilles is to the human body?
He can never come back the same. He's about to lose a year of basketball. Yeah. It's insane.
And what's crazy too is, so whenever you're talking about players like, you know, they're good players in the NBA. Whenever they have an Achilles injury and they come back, let's say maybe they come back 95% of who they were, you know, it's not really evident because, you know, they're not like elite players. But when you're somebody of Kevin Durant's caliber and you're arguably the best player in the NBA and you lose, let's say, 5% of your abilities, you lose half a second of your speed, you lose maybe 6 inches of your jump, that shows in the game.
No, of course.
That could be the difference.
It's a game of inches.
Elevating you.
But I mean, look what happened with Kobe, right? And people are going to say Kobe was older when he had his injury. And that's correct. But Kobe ruptured his Achilles. And at that point, he still had some time that he would have been an effective player. That cut his career by like 2-3 years, that injury.
Yeah, absolutely. He never came back the same.
No.
And I pray this is not the case for Kevin Durant. As much as I don't like him as a player and his decisions that he's made in the game of basketball, not outside of basketball, but in the game of basketball, I'm not a fan of him. But I feel for the guy as a man, as a human.
Absolutely.
So, quick question for you, Eli, and just kind of toggling to a different topic. Before we got on air, you said you wanted to mention something about Boogie.
Yes.
Let me hear that.
DeMarcus Cousins, another guy I used to like that I don't like anymore. He thought he can just hop on the Warriors and win a ring this year. Goes to show you can't just hop around to win rings.
Another
Boogie
guy.
Cousins.
Last year, ruptured his Achilles. Who knows what he's going to be once he... First of all, this entire series, he was out of game shape. But who knows what he ends up being when he's 100%.
Yeah, that's all I have to say about Boogie. Sorry, buddy. Thought, let me get on the Warriors and get this quick chip. Not this year.
Yeah, we ended up having to rely on Boogie more than we wanted to.
Well, you had to.
Once again, it goes... yeah, exactly. It goes back to... That's what happens when you have a poorly constructed team.
Well, we have no cap space to sign anybody.
But that's because you guys went crazy signing stars.
I mean, that's the risk you take.
But it worked once for you.
Yeah.
Because everyone was healthy.
Yeah.
Right? As soon as...
that's why I could live and die with those injuries. That's fine with me. Like, I'm disappointed that they lost, but, you know, that's something I can live with. And that's a great attitude to take, and that's the way every Warriors fan should be. No Warriors fan should be upset at this series and say, oh, injuries, because you guys have been living by signing superstar and having all-stars on your team and having zero depth, that this is what happens. Yeah. And you can't expect for a team to remain healthy
all the time, especially when you need a championship. That doesn't work like that. Injuries happen, and that's why you need the depth. That's why in a team like Toronto is so valuable, because one guy goes down or one guy's having a bad game, another guy picks up the slack. Gasol played terrible in Game 6, and Siakam picked it up. But
I was talking to Eli this game, and Norman Powell didn't even play. Or he played a couple of minutes this finals, and I was telling him I feel like he will probably be the 7th best Warrior out there.
No, he'd be your 6th man.
Yeah,
probably.
He'd be your with the current roster.
Yeah, with those injuries that we had.
And since we're talking about injuries, I just thought about this. How the Warriors mishandled KD. If you rewind time, everybody was shitting on Kawhi for saying no to the Spurs. I'm not going to play because I'm not ready.
Because I know my body.
He knew his body. He got so many other opinions. And a lot of people in the sports world, media, ESPN, all these analysts, they shitted on Kawhi, especially Skip Bayless, saying that he quitted on his teams. He has no heart, all this. The guy knew his body. Even as much as I love Greg Popovich, he kind of crapped on him as well.
Yeah.
And they try to turn the narrative on this guy, Kawhi Leonard, as him as the bad guy. Just because he said, no, what, I'm not going to play because I'm not ready.
That's a great point. They labeled him as quitting on his team, not
a leader.
He sat out a year and multiple games, and now look, he's an NBA champion again.
NBA Finals MVP.
Come on.
One of 3 players to ever win a Finals MVP in multiple teams.
Kareem and LeBron.
Yes, correct.
Let me pose this question to you, Eli. Where does Kawhi rank on the all-time Raptors list?
2.
Behind who?
Vince Carter.
I knew he was going to say that.
Even though Kawhi...
You want us to rank, love him for that. He's amazing. But if he stays longer, he will eventually
That's what I was about to ask.
Let me ask you this.
If he resigns, he stays, he's number 1?
Is that your list, or is that what you realistically think that's like every Toronto fan's list?
I think it's the city of Toronto. I think there's a consensus. I'm not saying Vince Carter is a better player than Kawhi Leonard, but I'm saying on our list, the Raptors list, the longevity and not just how great he is, the excitement, what he brought back to the community, what he meant to us. I want it to be Vince Carter. I don't want to be Kawhi Leonard. I love him, but I don't want to be him.
Sure, I want to be Kawhi Leonard right now. He's out there winning championships.
You know what I mean? I want it to be Vince Carter.
Yeah,
we all did in Toronto. He's our guy.
He just means more to the city.
Exactly, he means more to us. That's why he's number 1 in our hearts.
Question.
Yeah.
Where do you rank Chris Bosh?
Top 5, maybe 5.
Lowry.
Okay.
I think he's probably top 5 as well now.
And the Raptors are you got team.
So Raptors organization, and Lowry jumps DeRozan because of this championship to me.
So top 5.
So my top 5, and it could change tomorrow because I might forget a couple people. Vince, Kawhi, Lowry, Bosh,
and then DeRozan.
DeRozan. DeRozan then Bosh.
Is T-Mac on there?
T-Mac would be 6 to 10.
Okay.
6 to 10. We had a young T-Mac, exciting T-Mac, but he did dip out on us.
So speaking of DeRozan, how do you think he's feeling right now?
Bittersweet. I'm sure he's happy for all of his friends, and I'm sure he's happy for the city, but I'm sure he's also bitter.
But I also think it should be an eye-opener for him to be like, okay, this is the player that I need to be, because obviously that team was good enough when I was there, and I held them back.
No, I don't think
he looks at it that way.
Him back. Yeah. Of course, Kawhi was the upgrade, but it wasn't just all on DeRozan. There was other key pieces, the Gasol trade, and I think the change of coach. I think having Nick Nurse instead of
Masai, he did a hell of a job this year,
and the emergence of Siakam. Siakam wasn't Siakam last year, so I think there's a lot of key factors. I don't think we can say it was DeRozan's fault.
But all I'm saying is, if I'm DeRozan, I say, hey, this 90% of that team is the same as when I was there, and they won a championship. So what do I need to do to make sure that the next time I'm in that situation with a team that is championship potential, I can close the deal? That's what I'm saying. Maybe. That's the way DeRozan should be looking at it.
Maybe,
not
but
like
I don't
pitying
think he
himself.
should be too hard. No, I don't think he's pitying himself. I don't think he should.
He's still a great player.
Yeah, he's still a great player in our league. And he'll have times and opportunities to win with the Spurs, I think. And good luck to him.
You know who else I wish good luck to?
Who?
Your boy Masai Ujiri.
How dare you?
What are you talking about?
So sources say that the Wizards are preparing prolific offer for Ujiri. So they're looking around the $10 million mark for the GM.
Do you think Masai goes?
I would.
I don't know.
He
I
did
think
his
it's-
part.
I think it depends on what happens with Kawhi.
Kawhi, yep.
So I
for
think if
sure.
he resigns Kawhi, he has the potential of staying. If he doesn't resign Kawhi, I think then he's like, oh, okay, I'm good.
He already made two of the most impactful trades in NBA history with the Kawhi Leonard trade and Marcus Gasol trade.
Well, he's pretty much like filled up his resume pretty nicely now. So
What was the offer? You said 10 million?
10 million
About
a year.
10 million.
That's a lot for a GM. The
It is.
average, yeah, I just looked it up. The average GM averages about 5 million.
Yeah.
This is what I think the Lakers should do.
But question for you, and it's kind of a side question, but it kind of relates. So, do you see this Raptors team as being a team that can repeat? If yes, then Masai needs to stay. If he can resign Kawhi.
If we
Gasol's
resign
an
Kawhi,
Gasol's
yes.
expiring, I think, right?
If
I don't know.
this was one of those situations where they just put all the chips in and they went all in right now, and they don't think that they have a chance of capturing lightning in a bottle again, then if I'm Masai, I take the 10 mil.
I think, yeah, it really does depend on Kawhi.
absolutely.
Yeah, it depends on Kawhi and where they feel the franchise is going from here, which it's still very early to talk about the next step for the Raptors.
Yeah.
So for free agents, Marcus Gasol's got a player option. Kawhi's got a player option. Danny Green leaves. McCaw and Jeremy Lin leaves. Everybody else is staying.
Damn, and Jeremy Lin was really important to this team down the stretch. Like, I don't know what the hell they're
Hey,
going to do without him.
He's got more rings than Carmelo Anthony.
That's
You
facts.
are
He has more rings than Boogie.
Wow.
That's facts too.
He has more rings than Boogie Cousins. Let's not forget that either.
Bro, Linsanity. Who would think he would win a ring?
That's crazy.
Oh, and let me say this.
Who would think he'd still be in the league right now?
Who would think from that young nucleus of that OKC team, Durant, Westbrook, Ibaka, and Harden, the
Only one.
Ibaka
Was
would be the
only-
first champion.
No,
No, Durant.
Durant.
No.
Durant.
Ibaka would be the first champion. I know Durant has a ring, but
Oh, you don't call
Ibaka
it. He's the
is the first champion.
Durant's
on
not
that
a
team.
champion in your eyes.
No.
The disrespect right now. Oh my God.
Yeah, I
The
love
dude has 2 final MVPs and he's not a champion?
No.
Okay.
We
That's a hot
won't
take.
go there this podcast.
I'm shook right now. I'm going to have to backhand this dude.
I don't know if I can agree with that.
Yeah,
That's
a
a little bit too much.
He's not a champion to me. He
Oh
has
my
a ring,
God.
but he's not a champion.
But I
Why
think
you got to kick the dude
but
while
I,
he's down?
I think the Finals MVP secures the fact that you're a champion.
he's the best player on that team.
But Eli, in 5-10 years, we've said this on the podcast. You're probably the only person that's going to remember that the Durant move.
Nah, I got some people.
When, what I'm saying is, it doesn't even matter if specifics really. When people look back at the history books and they see Kevin Durant winning 2 championships and him being one of the most prolific scorers in NBA history, no one's gonna say, "Oh, he joined an already established, great
73-9
team."
championship team.
But the thing is, that 73-9 team didn't win a championship. If they would have won a championship, then it's different. That 73-9 season,
But they won the year before, the same team. So they were already champions
but
without
no
him.
one's gonna remember that. That's what I'm saying.
What do you mean?
And
It's in the books.
You got to
They're
admit
champions.
though that those 2 NBA Finals MVPs, those have some weight to them, regardless.
Yeah,
of what
because he's a great player. I think he's a top 15 player of all time.
So let me ask you this, Eli. Who won the championship in 1990? NBA championship.
The Pistons.
Can you name every player on that roster?
No, just Isaiah Thomas and wasn't not Leitner. The big white guy who used to bruise up everybody.
I think that is Bill Leitner.
No, Bill Lambert.
Oh,
You
Those-
guys mixed the team.
Yeah.
But yeah.
mix the names up.
Yeah.
So my point by asking you that is that for you to only be able to name 2 players off of a team from not several, but many years ago, essentially what's going to happen with this Warriors team that people are going to talk about.
You think people will forget Draymond and Clay and stuff?
People know will
Not
probably
And
Steph.
Iggy?
no. People will forget Iggy.
Yeah.
People will
I
definitely
think
forget.
maybe
Iggy.
Draymond might go.
People remember Steph, Clay, and Durant. They won't know
Yeah.
what years they were there. What years? No,
Really?
they're just gonna remember that those guys played for that
Yeah.
team when they won those championships.
I agree with Danny.
Yeah, if you're looking at like 10 years on the road.
That's
10,
what I'm
15
saying,
years.
You're
and
not
that's the reason why
really-
I say, in the books, he's a champion. You can't say he's not a champion because years from now, when you're looking at his championship
To
pedigree,
me personally,
his
he
Hall
has
of
a
Fame
title and
pedigree.
he has a ring, but I don't consider him a champion. I still think that's a sucker move.
but that's so. But
I'll
what I'm
always
saying is
believe in that.
you and I agree with you. I think that was a piece of shit move on his part. But what I'm saying is that's because we're living in the moment. When people could look back at this time or this era of basketball, no one's gonna look at that. No one's gonna pay attention to it, and no one's gonna give a damn.
Yeah, I feel like it's fair to criticize the move, but I don't think it's fair to not call him a champion.
I agree with you. Just because he won 2 Finals MVPs, like it's hard not to call the guy a champion.
I gotta agree with that.
That's just my take. I think in the barbershop, he's not a champion.
Plus, I can't say too much about KD. I gotta hope the Knicks sign him. I can't say too much crap.
We can agree to disagree on that one. I definitely see you guys' points. It's as a competitor, it just doesn't sit right with me.
Where do you think Golden State goes from here?
Trying to figure out.
Re-sign Klay Thompson and
Yep,
rebuild
for
the
sure.
bench.
Do you think they end up having the cap room to do so after signing Clay for a max?
If they sign Klay for the max, the total that Klay and KD take up, they'll have like an extra $5 million.
That's not enough to build a bench.
Yeah,
that's not enough to hire
Andrew
Jared.
Bogut. Andrew Bogut goes off the books. Jonas Boogie Cousins goes off the books. Looney, we're gonna lose him. I think
So then
Sean
who
retires.
is on your bench?
No one. That's
That's
why
why I say rebuild the bench.
But if you have
Wait,
only
what?
$5 million,
$5 million?
No, like
you're not counting all those contracts that are about to
Yeah,
expire.
I'm not counting the
Oh,
contracts
okay.
that are back.
Okay,
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, what the heck can
Yeah,
you get?
I'm just saying they're gonna save $5 million with losing Durant.
You're gonna
and
ask
signing,
David West to come back and play?
Yo, he could have helped us this
Hey.
series.
They're gonna call up
Ask,
Mo Spades.
Andres Beatrice to come back.
Who?
Who?
Yo, you don't remember
Beatrice?
Beatrice? The big white
You
guy
remember
from
Beatrice
Golden State?
back when Baron Davis was playing? out there?
Yeah.
Oh,
the dude was
God.
Damn,
trash.
That's a throwback.
He
That's a
was so
throwback.
trash. But we could have
Question.
used most Spades too.
You guys could have used anybody besides Quinn Cook
Oh.
and Jerebko.
Quinn, the sad part was like they're like, oh, we need some scoring off the bench. Let's put in Quinn Cook.
So let me
Like,
ask you
what
the
was
question.
that?
Yeah.
Is the Warriors dynasty done?
Yes.
Yes,
Said it
the
many times
dynasty is
before.
done. If we lose KD, it's the dynasty's done. 5 years.
Unfortunately, when
Is it
KD
5 years?
leaves,
Yeah.
yeah, 5 straight finals
Yeah,
appearances.
5 straight finals.
The only team to ever
So
do that. by
does
the
that
way.
mean LeBron has a 8-year dynasty?
No, he did with 7 different teams. I think they have the Heat dynasty in that. I don't really know
I don't
if that's
call
a
it
Cavs
Which
dynasty.
I don't
but-
know. I don't call that Cleveland
Because they
team.
should have beat the Mavericks. But
Yeah, but no, there's that Heat dynasty definitely there.
Yeah.
I still think they're going to be competitive, but
I don't think they come close to winning another championship.
it,
No,
it
I wouldn't say
depends.
not close. I think they'll still be
I
very
think they get to the
competitive.
playoffs. They're
I don't think they.
No.
I think the farthest they make it is maybe
I can see them Western Conference Finals, definitely.
Western semis.
So here's the question. So let's say KD leaves and then the dynasty finishes. Now, who can you say is maybe like the favorite to make it into the out of the West?
The Houston Rockets.
Depends on what moves.
The
they
LA
make.
Lakers
It depends. If the Lakers end up,
getting Anthony Davis, pencil them in.
yeah, I agree.
Granted, everybody stays healthy.
Yes, I agree.
Pencil them in. The Rockets, that dynasty that never happened, is over too.
Yeah, I mean, we already talked about it. I think a podcast or two ago. They're trying to sell that entire team. Besides, I
They
think Harden.
tried. And
They're trying to get another player that could team up with James Harden. That's not
Chris
Chris
Paul.
Paul.
We
Yeah.
did what they couldn't do, which was beat the Warriors.
Yeah.
And they've been trying for so long now.
Yeah. Well, Harden's not the kind of guy that you have to beat the Warriors.
I disagree with that. I think Harden did all that he could. I think
I'm saying his play style. A guy
I
that
think Harden's the type of guy that can beat any team.
Yeah, I agree. I don't
not in
want,
a 7-game series.
I disagree again. I don't think that about Harden. I think Harden's one of the best players, and I think
He's not
you
a winner.
could- yeah, I don't put that on him because, like you just said,
Exactly.
Steph couldn't win by himself. I don't think one player can win by himself, and he definitely played that series by himself because CP3
I
did
don't
not
know.
show up.
But the thing is, the Rockets have a lot of good role players, bro.
Yeah, but,
Yeah, but you need that second.
Yeah,
go-to
you need
guy.
that second option.
series, you know.
Like the Warriors have some good role players, like with Iggy, and you can even say Boogie was a role player.
But let's be honest, with the Warriors this entire series, every single game it was just one guy that was going off for them. They never had a game where it was like multiple guys going off.
And
Same
that's
with
why
the
they did win.
same with the Rockets. It was just James Harden. Nobody else really went off. So I can't put that on James. I think he's a really good player, and you can definitely build a team around him. They tried, but just didn't work. They gotta go back to the books.
So, last question, and then we'll move on. And this is for you, Eli, and we'll get a little. I want you to tell me how you feel as being from Toronto, being from the Six, first championship for the Raptors. When's the last time Toronto as a city won a championship?
I want to say it's 93, 92, 93.
Blue
The
Jays.
Blue Jays went back to back.
Yep.
So it was a year before I was born.
So
Technically it was the 93-94 season. Yeah, so that was still before I was born. I was born in late 94. Man, it's crazy. It's surreal. I was telling you guys, I never thought I would see a championship from a Toronto team at all in my lifetime. Just because the story and the history behind Toronto teams, they can never get it done in big games. They didn't put their money behind their investments. The owner, so quick story, the owner of the Raptors is the owner of the Leafs, and he always invested more in the Leafs than the Raptors.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why, because the Leafs still suck too. So it's surreal. I can't really wrap my head around it that we're champions, but I'll probably feel good tomorrow when I wake up.
I'm happy for the city of Toronto.
Yeah, loyal fans. They're like Drake said it best. They're a college football team fan base. They're very loyal.
I'm happy for my boy Drake.
Absolutely.
Hey, if the Warriors gonna lose, I'm glad it's
Champagne
to Toronto. I respect Toronto, the players, like Kawhi. But
Everybody get ready for the hottest tape this summer coming from Drizzy.
Bro, that's what I was about to say. You know he's about to
release
be
a
working
fire
on some
album.
Fire.
Ooh, we about to have that heat all summer.
He's gonna have a feature from Kawhi on there.
The laugh. It's an intro.
The laugh.
The laugh can be an intro.
Chill, Kanye might sample that.
Ooh, damn. No, but
Why you gotta bring negativity here?
yeah,
I know.
Yeah,
I
for
really
real.
gotta
We're on a good
dim our
mood
lights
just now. No, big shout out to the city of Toronto. Very, very happy for them.
All right, guys. So we hit on KD's injury here. So how do you think that actually affects next year's free agency?
Well, this year's free agency.
This
The upcoming free agency.
Well, potentially it could be next year's free agency too, because he has the player option technically.
And he's not playing this year, so this upcoming year.
First question is, do you think he takes the player option?
I don't think so.
Absolutely not.
I think whatever team is trying to get him is going to offer him a max regardless, like a multi-year max.
But he's going to be out all of next season.
I that's the risk people are going to take. I know the Warriors for a fact they're going to offer him that multi-year max.
They better offer him equity in the fucking team.
Hey, if he signs,
Everything.
I'll let him
Everything.
take it.
No. So in all honesty, I think the majority of the teams that were in on him before are still going to be in on him. No one's going to, back out now. They're just going to have to deal with being another year out from potentially contending.
Yeah,
Which is a lot to ask of a team to go out there and sign a max deal and then say we're taking this year off.
Yeah, the Wizards pretty much did that with John Wall this year.
Yeah. I mean, the Wizards were still good without him. I think they were better without him, but that's a totally different
I
conversation.
disagree. I don't think they were.
All right, but different topic.
That's a different topic for
I
a
just
different
had
day.
to put that out there.
That just sucks because obviously every team that was looking to get KD was looking to win now. Like this upcoming year.
Not the Knicks.
Well,
this is kind of like a domino effect for the Knicks because it changes who they go after.
Yeah, it changes
this summer.
I'm really tired of the Knicks getting screwed. Even when the Knicks are like, they're all at home on their couches.
You got no KD next year. You got the losing the lottery.
Yeah.
That one hurt.
So I honestly think that I really think that it's not going to affect anything for him. I think it will affect, like you said, who the Knicks go after or who other teams go after. So and right now we see all that kind of we're seeing some of these things take place a little bit. You know what I mean? You know, Kyrie just signed with Rock Nation, so he's a big contender to go play in like Brooklyn or something like that.
I think that was a done deal, considering what Brooklyn did to clear up all that cap space.
With D'Angelo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this KD injury not only affected a couple of teams, I think it affected all of free agency and other
The
players.
whole league.
Because free agency has now turned into, let me call my buddies or let me figure out who's doing what, and you kind of coordinate off of that. So I think it's affected everything.
But I think they can still coordinate. Whatever player essentially wants to team up with KD in the future just has to be okay with just trying to go at it alone for a
we're
year.
talking about Kyrie. I think, we definitely think he's going with the Nets now, especially signing after Rock Nation.
Yeah.
But KD going down, I'm sure, has affected any percentage the Knicks had of getting Kyrie, because I know he wouldn't go there by himself.
Yeah.
And that might be with other players as well.
But I get what you're saying, but I also think that, let's say if they do go out and they sign KD early in free agency, I think that doesn't keep Kyrie from potentially them having a shot at him at least. Because at the end of the day, let's say if they both sign for several years, 1 year without KD, but the rest of them you're going to play with them.
Yeah,
I think you can kind of deal with that.
I don't think anybody signs for more than 1 or 2 years these days. It's a 1 year kind of league,
Well, this is kind of like the downside of the 1-and-1 deals.
I guess so.
KD injury.
Yeah.
If you're not KD, if you're not top 3 player in the league, it could turn out pretty bad.
Yeah, well, that's the way our league has gone. So it's.
But do you think that starts
1-and-1.
transitioning to being maybe guys are starting to look for longer term deals?
I don't think so. Not the way the league is shaped out right now. People always want their options open, and it's a players' league. Meaning that they kind of have control of where they go now, and if they could keep their options open, and I would do the same thing if I was a player. If I have the option to play for this team this year and have a better opportunity somewhere else, I want to keep that option open.
How about a guy like Kemba, where he just played his ass off this year, right? Arguably one of his best seasons. Maybe a guy like him that potentially could see some type of regression. Maybe he goes after a 4-year deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think Kemba's he's at top, not top tier, but still in the top tier.
Guy like Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, Jimmy's a great example as well.
Guy that can capitalize on maybe taking advantage of a free agency market that's going to offer him a max. And he knows that he probably might not get an opportunity again to be a max player. So maybe he...
And that's just, stating to the fact that KD has affected this whole free agency. I think somebody like Jimmy and Kemba's value has now skyrocketed because KD's no longer, the top guy on the market.
For the teams that do want to win now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Definitely.
But in all honesty, I don't think there were a lot of teams that were trying to win now that were in on KD, if that makes sense. I feel like all the teams that were going to be in on KD were going to end up being project teams that were in the process of rebuilding, and KD was the piece that they were going to rebuild around.
I don't think so. I don't think KD would have even agreed to that, especially at this point of his career.
Yeah, I think he's looking to team up with somebody
else.
Yeah,
he's looking to win now. A younger guy, maybe, but I don't think KD's at that point of his career. He's on the later end now. So
yeah, he's already won it with Golden State, so he's looking for that new challenge to win it.
Yeah, he's not looking to be a LeBron and take kids to the finals.
Yeah, well, LeBron didn't want to do that either.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily about winning for KD anymore. I think it's just about getting the bag. He's already got championships under his belt.
I actually don't even think KD's that kind of guy to go get the bag. I don't see him as the money hungry guy. I think he's a guy who wants to be set up in the best opportunity for him to succeed. Not saying money is not the mission, but I don't think it's his only goal. I think
his focus maybe just be on his individual legacy at this point.
Exactly. And him going to the Knicks, I don't think that helps him and his legacy, especially if somebody like Kyrie's not going.
Well, I actually think going to the Knicks does help his legacy, especially if they win.
Yeah, but I think what the Knicks would present in that office,
it's not
something appealing where he's okay, I can actually win here.
Yeah.
It's not enticing enough.
Exactly, it's not.
So other than KD, other big name free agents out there, we already talked about Kemba. We talked about JB. Where do you think those guys fit in? Where do you think those guys can maybe find their sweet spot?
So if I'm Kemba, if Charlotte offers me that Supermax, hands down, I'm taking that. That's too much money to pass up, especially if you're Kemba.
But to be in Charlotte?
But getting an
He's
extra
been there his whole career.
Yeah, he's getting an extra $40-50 million. That's a huge amount of money.
I can see Kemba staying in Charlotte if he gets a super max.
But I don't
Yeah.
think Charlotte will offer him a super
If he
max.
doesn't, I think this is where other teams have an opportunity of signing him.
So other teams that were interested in Kemba besides the Knicks were the Mavericks, and
I heard Orlando Magic.
Yeah, I heard the Magic
and the Lakers.
And then the Knicks.
I don't see a
obviously.
good fit with him at the Lakers. But I think the Magic will actually be a perfect opportunity for both players. I think you got a couple pieces at the Magic that you can work with, and it's the Magic finally getting a marquee guy again. You know, they haven't had one since.
I just can't see
Dwight
Dwight
Howard.
signing in Orlando.
Yeah,
I can't see any
hard.
free agent signing in Orlando. It's very difficult for Orlando to sell guys.
It's definitely hard to see, but I think if you're looking to win and you're Kemba, I don't think it's a bad idea.
If I'm Kemba, I like going to team up with Luka and KP in Dallas. I think that's where I would want to go.
I don't know how he fits with them. I don't like that fit.
I don't like that fit either. I think you ride with going young with KP, Luka.
And I think that kind of stops Luka's growth a little bit.
How so?
I think Luka needs to continue to become a scorer in this league, and I think that takes the ball out of his hand more than it should. So
I'll agree with that. Yeah.
But he's also a
type of
great
offensive player.
He's a great distributor in the team.
Yeah, but he's young. I think he wants to still develop, and I think the Mavericks want him to develop. And by doing that, it's just having more touches on the ball.
So you're telling me that you think it's better for Kemba to go play in Orlando where he only has Vooch than to go to Dallas and play with KP and Luka?
I think for both teams,
Aaron Gordon down there too.
Yeah, I think it's a better fit
Well, I
for
think
everyone.
the best fit for Kemba is New York to the Knicks. He's going to be the leader of that team. I believe he used to live in New York, right?
Yeah, but how does that help either situation? Like,
Well, it makes the
Kemba's
Knicks
going to
better.
be in another Charlotte, but just in New York.
That's appealing.
Well,
It's different. You can't compare New York to Charlotte because
I'm not comparing the cities. I'm comparing the teams.
But you have to factor in the city into it too.
Well, no, I'm
like how many
thinking
people talk about Kemba in Charlotte compared
Exactly.
to talking
So
about Kemba
now you're
in New
saying
York?
now I'm on a bigger spotlight and losing. Now I want everybody to know that I'm losing.
Well, it's easier to gather free agents in New York than it is in Charlotte.
And
No,
it also depends on what
absolutely.
moves.
New York's not cap strapped like Charlotte is.
I'm saying
Exactly.
I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying if I'm Kemba, I'm not saying it's a bad move for the Knicks. I'm saying for Kemba, I don't think I would do that at this point. He's getting older as well. He's 30?
I think it depends on what moves the Knicks make.
Knicks have to bring more than Kemba. If it's just Kemba you're bringing in,
They're getting RJ.
I'll stay in. Yeah, but
They're getting RJ Barrett. So
that's not enough for me to say, hey, all right, let's go. Me and RJ.
That's a promising piece.
He's still
though.
got to have a couple years to kind of.
Yeah,
develop.
absolutely.
but like Doug said, that's a promising piece. And then
I don't think we can say anybody's a promising piece.
so let's say the Knicks. I don't know about that. That's
not coming into the league. You can't say
Zion's
somebody
not a promising piece.
as crazy it might seem. There's been so many first round busts. You can't say anybody's for sure locked in.
no one's saying.
And
Yeah, I'm not saying he's going to be penciling him as an all-star. I'm saying
okay,
that
but what's
it's
promising
an-
piece then?
it's an intriguing player to play with.
Yes.
A
Yeah,
player-
but that's not good enough if I'm a free agent. You know, we possibly have an intriguing player. What does that mean? How does that help me?
So what about guys like that are on maybe the lower tier of free agents? Guys like DeAndre Jordan.
Or Tobias Harris.
Exactly.
Who cares? Fucking DeAndre Jordan.
DeAndre Jordan, he's signed for a veteran minimum somewhere, so
Nah,
that's
not vets.
That's
yet.
excessive.
he's getting a vet
Kinda
min.
low, yeah.
Maybe the mid-level
No,
exception.
but for real, what teams do you see? Because he's the perfect guy to add to a team that's already made, that's already a playoff team. That maybe they just need that as a defensive presence. So
I think maybe the Bucks, Milwaukee.
Hey, come over to the
that's-
Warriors, bro.
that's what I was gonna say. I think maybe he doesn't fit well with like Giannis's like run and gun transition style. Like
Nah, he was part of Lob City. He can run up and down.
yeah, but he's older now.
He is. I don't know
He's gone
his
through
shape.
some injuries.
And yeah, he's definitely gone through some injuries. But I think, that defensive presence, bring a great defender to a good defensive team, and just throwing him some lobs, I think he's a good fit.
Yeah, I would want him in the Warriors, but that's just me being.
I honestly, as much as I hate the Warriors, I
think
can see that too.
That's a good fit because they've
Yeah.
been lacking a big man for a very long time.
Yeah, and they actually tried to sign DeAndre a couple years back before landing or before trading Monte Ellis.
And I could also see DeAndre maybe teaming up with LeBron in LA.
I can see
feel like
that.
that's a great piece for the Lakers to sign.
That'd be a good piece.
I think so too. Yeah.
Now, how about Tobias Harris?
Tobias is a little tougher. I think I think DeAndre, as crazy as it sounds, is a little bit more appealing than Tobias. Not saying DeAndre is a better player than Tobias.
I think DeAndre is more affordable player than Tobias.
Affordable, and I think he's still one of the better big men in the league, so it's easier to fit him into teams. Where Tobias, I don't know.
He's a good scorer.
He's a good scorer.
The thing is, he's going to command like $15 to $20 million on the market.
Do you think he deserves that?
I don't think he deserves it, but I think
Nah.
he'll end up getting it because
Yeah.
that's just the way the market is now.
And it's tough. He
I
had
think-
one of his best seasons yet, too. So
Yeah. I think that's why the main reason why the Clippers wanted to trade him. They don't plan on paying that much for a guy like Tobias.
Well, I mean,
I think they want to free up.
yeah, I think they were
Cap
just in
space,
full
yeah.
rebuild mode, and they were just like, you know what? Well, they thought they were in rebuild mode until
Their team was actually good.
their team was actually good this year.
I just saw an interesting stat. Throughout the playoffs, the Clippers were actually the team who averaged the most points.
You know who averaged the most points? Anthony Davis for the last 6 years in a Pelicans jersey.
I was waiting to get to this. I wanted to leave this towards like one of the last guys. But yeah, I mean, AD on the move this year. Not a free agent, but most likely going to be on the move.
And all signs are looking like LA.
Well,
It's almost done, to be honest.
and it's awesome what Rich Paul is doing because they're essentially just tanking AD's trade value. Because
Yeah, they really are.
they're essentially saying, hey, go and send whatever you want to New Orleans for him. He's coming to play with us next year. So do whatever you need to do now.
I love how you're saying us, like Rich Paul's part of the Lakers.
Well, essentially, like,
He's going to be on the payroll.
I know what you mean because he's best friends with Bron.
Yeah.
So I know what you mean, but I'm just saying
So,
it's
like,
just funny to think.
that's the attack that they're essentially taking, though. And so now teams like the Celtics, who were the other big horse in getting him, now, if I'm them, I don't necessarily send over a whole bunch for him.
Absolutely not.
And then other teams start following suit, too, that would want to be in on him.
I personally still think the Lakers, I'd rather have the Lakers player in that package than the Celtics. And that's just me.
I agree. I think if you're the Lakers, you send.
You send the whole.
Well, no. I
team.
think they already said what would happen when this does happen. It's Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, and their 4th pick overall.
Yeah.
I think that's a great haul for New Orleans.
And then New Orleans, rumors say, are trying to flip that 4th pick to another team. So it's kind of try to be a 3-team trade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's the best package they're going to get for him at this point because nobody else wants to trade for him because they know, first of all,
He's not resigning. Yeah.
he's not resigning, one.
Yeah, he's out of there.
Yeah. And two, a team that has to resign for him has to be a team that wants to win now and says, okay, we get AD, we need to make sure we win a championship next year. And there's not a lot of teams that
Kind
can.
of like what Toronto did with Kawhi.
Exactly. There's not a lot of teams that can do that, still trade like a decent amount to get him, and still be good enough to win a championship next year. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It worked out for the Raptors, but like I think there's very, very like few teams that can pull something off like that.
The only team that comes to mind would be something like Philadelphia.
But what do they give up?
Yeah, who
Kind
did they give up?
like Ben Simmons, something like that.
No, there's no way you can give up Ben Simmons for AD.
If you're trying to win a title right now.
But you think
that's
AD
an option.
AD and Joel?
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense.
AD could actually. AD said he doesn't want to play the 5, so playing the 4 for him would be
But
better.
those two guys aren't going to be enough to win
they
you a
take up a
championship.
lot of the same spaces
Yeah.
on the court.
Well-
AD plays the 4, but a lot of where he is in the paint.
Actually,
Yeah.
he goes out a lot more now.
But so does Embiid.
True.
There's not a team you can name right now that fits that, like, okay, we're going to go trade some assets to get AD, and then we're still going to contend for a championship
I
next year.
think this trade is a glove. They just need to put their hand in it.
It's a
What?
it's a weird way of saying it, but like,
a weird ass analogy.
but I get what you're saying, and yeah, you're right. It just needs to happen between the Lakers and the Pelicans. As much as
Like it's already set there.
yeah, as much as the Pelicans don't necessarily want to, they have to. It has to get done. Has to get done.
Yeah, I like that.
So, transitioning a little bit away from basketball because we've been talking about basketball for forever now.
They're probably tired of hearing basketball.
Well, I mean, we're in the middle of the playoffs.
Yeah, you guys
like-
got well. Hopefully,
As- as we go forward into football ramping up and stuff like that, we'll talk more about football. As baseball gets more to it.
That's what I was trying to say. I just lost my.
I know.
Frame of thought.
I came for the rescue. We're all good.
Thanks.
Other news, big time news this week. The Big Papi incident, right?
That's unfortunate. Man.
Yeah.
For anyone that doesn't know,
Crazy.
Big Papi was in his home country, the Dominican Republic.
DR.
And he was, I don't know what, I think it looked like a bar or like something like that. And he was just enjoying himself. And from the surveillance footage, somebody comes up from behind him and shoots him, and then takes off. As of right now, Big Papi is stable. They airlifted him to Boston, and he's been stable ever since.
All the way to Boston, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Red Sox paid for it.
Crazy.
So what's crazy to me though is that initially all the reports were saying, "Oh, it was an armed robbery. Somebody was trying to rob him. Somebody's trying to rob him." If you look at the surveillance tape, it looks like a straight-on assassination attempt.
Yeah,
looks like I'm coming here just to kill this dude, and that's it. There's no way you're going to be able to pull off an armed robbery in front of like 30 people that were there like that.
What's the background story? Isn't it something with like a drug lord or something?
It's sketchy.
So it's rumored. I don't know if this is the truth or not. But it was rumored that Big Papi was like somewhat involved with like the drug lord's wife, and the drug lord like sent this dude to go and like take care of him. I don't necessarily know if that's the truth or not. But who knows? That's like what's the rumor going around.
That's crazy.
That is crazy altogether.
Craziest thing is that not only like the dude shoots Big Papi and then he takes off, and then maybe an hour or two later, there's like videos coming out from DR of people like dragging the dude in the streets and like beating the shit out of him in the streets.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Which is unbelievable to me, because I don't think there's many other like stars that something like that can happen to them, and their entire like country, their entire community gets behind them in that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, DR is a small country, so he's probably a huge influence.
He's probably has to be their biggest star.
Yeah.
I mean,
you have a lot of good baseball players that come out of Dominican Republic.
But like
They
off
do.
the top of my head, when you think of DR,
Papi.
yeah, like famous
You got to
Dominican Republic people.
yeah, definitely. I agree with you guys. He's definitely the guy who kind of symbolizes, the Dominican Republic baseball when you think of that country.
Yeah. I mean, future Hall of Famer. Hopefully, like the steroid thing doesn't really hurt him too much.
Which,
but
don't get me started.
That's
on
another
that.
conversation for a different day. But
Don't let us talk about
another can of worms.
Yeah, baseball and steroids, please.
No, thankfully he's stable as of right now. From what I read, they had to like remove some of his intestines. They had to, like repair like a portion of his liver. It was pretty rough, but he's in the clear now. Well, somewhat. He's still in the hospital, but he's stable, which is good. So big shout out to Papi.
Yeah, absolutely, and hopefully a speedy recovery. And we're all praying for you, Papi.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
The other thing that we want to talk about today is, we got
What's next on the list, boys?
Yeah, what's
Well,
Doug, do your job.
List
Why do we pay Doug?
For
Should
Oh,
get a
that's right,
raise.
Nando. You wanted to talk about the Forbes list, right?
I did, yeah. So the
Money,
Forbes list
money,
came out this
money.
top 100 paid athletes, and it was actually a pretty hot topic. That out of everybody on there, Serena Williams was the only female on the list.
100 athletes.
Yeah. Top 100 paid.
Give us the top 10.
Let me pull it up right here. Well, Serena was actually number 63. But here, I'll pull up the list.
Wow, so she wasn't even close to the top.
Yeah.
And I mean, and she was getting paid pretty decently. She got like,
Well, I mean, it's tennis. Let's be very honest. Like,
Very high paying sport. Single athlete.
yeah, it's a
You
single.
don't really have
athlete
to share
sport.
that money.
No, exactly.
so number one, of course, Lionel Messi,
Oh god.
rightfully so.
First of all, that's the first time he's ever been number one on that list.
Yeah, because it's usually been Cristiano.
Cristiano. Well, actually, yes, Cristiano. But Floyd Mayweather actually had it like 6,
Oh, yeah.
7 years in a row.
Yes.
And I don't even think Floyd Mayweather made it on the list.
I mean, he hasn't had any fights.
He hasn't
since
fought
then.
in 3
he's not
years.
like an active athlete. So
And I think Christie went back to back the year before Mayweather.
Yeah, he went 2 years.
All right, so number 1 was Messi. Number 2 was Cristiano Ronaldo. Number 3 was Neymar. At number 4 was Canelo Alvarez, which is pretty cool. At 5, you got Roger Federer. 6, Russell Wilson. 7, Aaron Rodgers. 8, Braun. 9, Steph Curry. And then 10, rounding it out, is Kevin Durant.
So, big thing that I want to point out real quick. You notice the top guys, right? The top 5, I think it was, are soccer, tennis, boxing.
Yeah,
So, international sports there.
definitely.
So, those make sense. Now, as for what Nando was saying, Serena being the only woman, I'm going to say something that a lot of people think, right?
Get
And
ready
are
for the
just
hot take.
are just afraid of
The
saying.
noise.
Tell
right?
me what I'm afraid to say, Danny. Tell me.
Well, Eli's not afraid to say anything, but
What I think Eli might be afraid to even
Don't
say
beat
this.
his head.
And I apologize if I offend anyone out there. But the reason why there's not more women in there is because, unfortunately, people don't like watching women's sports.
Wow.
does that really deserve a award?
What's wrong with you, Doug?
When it
Control yourself over there, buddy.
when it comes down to it, and this is the only facet and the only industry that maybe women don't necessarily require equal pay or should be getting equal pay as men, and it's sports. Let's be real. The top women's sports in the world are what? Tennis, soccer,
Golf.
golf.
Golf, yeah.
You know, here in the States, we have the WNBA.
Well, actually, the overseas gets paid more than the WNBA players do.
Okay, we'll just say women's basketball in
Yeah.
general, right?
The thing is that with sports, really, all of the athletes, payouts, their contracts, everything comes out of revenue that the industry gets. from
Exactly.
programming, viewership, and you just don't have that with women's sports. So they can't overpay them if they're not getting, the income coming in
No.
from people watching them.
And a couple years ago, the U.S. women's national team was arguing that they should get paid a whole bunch, and they're great at what they do. They're one of the best female teams, right, in the world.
I think they would
Yeah.
beat the men's team, honestly.
I'm
They
sure they-
honestly would.
I'm sure they will.
Our men's team.
But unfortunately, other than World Cup time or World Cup qualifiers, nobody really watches them play. In the U.S., we don't watch a lot of soccer here. Soccer doesn't generate a lot of revenue here. So for them to say, hey, I should be getting paid as much as a lot of these men, the men play in the MLS, right? They get revenue from the MLS, and MLS is starting to make more money now that it's starting to be televised a little bit more. So it makes sense why they get paid a little bit more, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, what do you think, Nando?
I think an important thing to note is that we're not saying in any way that that they're less talented or anything. It just means that strictly looking at it from a financial perspective, they're not going to get paid at the same rate because the industry doesn't make as much.
No.
It doesn't mean that they're less talented or they deserve to make less. It's just that's
Well,
what it is.
I can't have you guys just shit on the woman. I have to stand up for you ladies. All right? First of all,
Let's hear it.
I don't know about
Here
you
comes
guys.
Eli trying to be the hero.
I don't know about you guys, but I'd rather watch girls than guys any day. Okay?
In what sport?
Anything.
Really?
You're
Because you've been raving about
Oh.
Cristiano Ronaldo for the past couple of years, so
I'm outside of sports, inside of sports. I'd rather just watch women over men any day. I don't know about you guys. But they do deserve viewership. Maybe they're not getting viewership because they're not getting marketed the way guys are. Maybe we
they
as
don't
a
get-
society should start putting more marketing, more tools behind the women because honestly, I think women are starting to take over this world. This might be outside of sports, depending who you talk to, but if you look at something like the WWF, which has been really big, if you watch it today,
Right now-
the women dominate that
The
sport.
women's division's now better than
But
the
that's
men's
not
division.
sports. That's entertainment. There's a difference.
No, I know what you're saying, but I'm getting to my point. I'm just saying I think women are now starting to become equal to men, and you can see starting with the WWE, we just had the first
Well,
woman
Let me get this
that tagline.
straight though. Women have always been equal to men.
No, absolutely.
Bottom line.
No, I'm
No,
saying
no,
in
no.
viewership.
We're talking-
yeah, that's
yeah.
not even the conversation.
But here's what I'm saying. The reason why, to Nando's point, it's all about revenue, right? How much revenue that sport brings in, right? WNBA doesn't bring in a lot of revenue compared to like the NBA.
okay, but let
right?
me stop
Women's
you there.
Soccer doesn't bring in a lot of revenue. So what you're telling me is you want to spend more money on marketing for something that doesn't make a lot of money
Well,
already.
it's not being marketed, so that's why
No.
it's not. You're not seeing
Yeah.
the viewership.
But it has nothing to do with
There's
marketing.
a correlation between marketing and viewership.
But nobody wants. It has nothing to do with marketing. It has
Yes,
to do
it-
with the fact that people would rather watch LeBron James than Candace
people,
Parker.
If people knew who Candace Parker was, when's the last time you seen a WNBA commercial?
I'm sorry, I know who Candace Parker is, and I'd much rather watch LeBron James.
Because okay, that's fine. But I'm saying, when's the last time you seen a WNBA commercial? When's the last time you seen a women's soccer commercial? You don't see it.
Alex
So all
Morgan is one of the best U.S. soccer
exactly,
players.
and it's
Oh,
a
yeah.
shame not a lot of people know that.
Yeah.
Well, soccer is a bad example because Americans don't pay attention to soccer in general.
Well, maybe women's soccer, they should start putting more money into that in sponsors and everything, because these women are great, and we should. When I watch
But
women's
nobody's
soccer,
going to invest in that because it doesn't have a big enough return for them.
well, you have to start somewhere. What are you going to do? You're just going to
But
be like, well,
what
this
you're
is never going to happen, so let's not even try.
But what you're asking is for people to dish out money where there isn't the what's the word I'm looking for? There isn't a track record of money to be made there.
Well, why? Why put money into the AAF, XFL, things that have flopped? Why not take that money and put it into a women's sport, and let's see, maybe this takes off. Girls watch TV too, don't
But once
they?
again, AAF is a bad example because we're talking about football there. There's
Right.
not a women's football league. You know what I mean?
Okay, but it
People are
doesn't
gonna-
have to be the same sport. It's
No, no,
just
no.
an example
But
of
the
a
reason,
league.
what I'm saying is, you're missing the point. What I'm saying is the reason why people are investing in like the AAF and the XFL is because it's football. People love football. The Canadian Football League, the Arena Football League, those leagues do well because it's football. People love football. I'm sure if there was a true women's football league, maybe that would make money.
Basketball, people
Yeah,
love
people love
basketball just as well.
basketball.
Basketball gets more viewership than football.
But unfortunately, the product is not equivalent when it comes to women's
No,
basketball
I
and men's
think
basketball.
I think women's basketball is marketed completely incorrect. They try to copy what the men do, where they sell out huge
And there needs
arenas.
to be more marketing. You can't sit here and tell me that marketing and viewership does not have a correlation.
it
'cause
does
it
when
absolutely does.
there's already some type of fan base there.
Dude,
And I just wanna
everybody has to
clarify
start
something.
somewhere.
I gotta agree. So I mean, I was just stating that's the reason why they don't get paid is because they don't bring in that revenue. I do think that there is a problem with the way that they market, and they don't. There's just a lack of marketing.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter how much marketing you do. If people don't get excited about watching that, they don't care. I'm sorry. You can do all the marketing you want. You can invest millions and millions and millions of dollars in marketing. If I don't watch a WNBA game and say, wow, it's amazing what they do, I'm not going to be intrigued.
No,
you know why? Because I watch the NBA and I say, wow, it's amazing what these guys can do.
Here's a difference.
You obviously don't watch the WNBA because those girls are awesome.
Hold on a second.
I'm not saying they're not good, but
I
I watch better talent in the NBA.
no. See what you try to compare is the NBA to the WNBA. What the WNBA should be its own entity, where it should have more of a college atmosphere instead
If
of like
it's
a
only
big
a
because
NBA.
it's the same sport. The same way people compare
No,
college
you
athletics
can't.
to college basketball.
And
to
that's the
NBA.
problem. You are the problem. I'm just stating that right there.
Let me say this. I think the reason why people think that way, Danny, is because it's already instilled and institutionalized.
Because it's marketed that way.
Exactly.
been
So
marketed.
somebody has to
When
switch it up.
Exactly. If people
Not
aren't
even that has been
used to
marketed.
something,
You
then
can
it's
see it for yourself.
not something that it's going to.
So you're telling me if you ever been to a women's live event, it's phenomenal. The talent, you might say, damn, I've been to so many women's event or watch it with people and they're like, damn, they're actually good for a girl. People will like it, but it's not marketed. It's not
But you
invested
notice what
in.
you just said there? You said they're actually good for a girl.
And that's what I'm
So-
saying. That's what people say. I'm not saying that's what I say.
But here's the thing, though.
I'm telling you, these
But here's-
WNBA ballers could ball me up any day.
Of course, no one's saying that they're not good. They're phenomenal. They're top class.
So let's watch them.
But the problem is, if you say, okay, this is the best WNBA team versus the best NBA team, right? Unfortunately, people are more likely to watch that best
You're
NBA
so
team.
stuck on sport to sport. It's not even just that.
No, because if I have the option of watching basketball, right? I'm going to want to watch the better basketball. The same way there's a lot of people that don't like watching
Not
college.
if the WNBA brings a different aspect of basketball
Exactly.
to
It's
it.
like
They would
college
have to
football and football. People watch it for two different
Yeah.
reasons.
But there's a lot of people that choose not to watch college football because they want to watch the best talent.
But
And
yet
some
it makes
people-
millions of dollars.
And yes, and some people choose not to watch NFL because they're like, the college kids, they have more heart. They're playing for more. They're not playing for money. I know a lot of people who only watch college football. So, like Doug said, create its own identity, and man, WNBA, women's sports, hire me. I'll get you guys on the map.
Let me be your NBA commissioner. We'll switch it up. We'll get you millions.
Listen,
Let's do it.
Listen,
And
I
then
know
there's-
off air, you guys are all going to say something different. You guys can keep on feeding the air with bullshit, but we'll continue on.
So you guys can watch us on our live, and I'll keep that same energy.
All right.
But no, that's exactly how I feel.
Because you guys are hypocrites.
No, we're not. So you're just upset
No,
because
not
we're
at
saying
all.
something
So
different.
would you rather watch MLB or college softball?
It's not about that.
I'm
Would you
asking-
rather? I will watch both, Danny. I can watch both. I don't have to watch one or the other.
I'm saying, let's say the College World Series is on, right? And let's say they just happen at the same time. For
your example, that works out for you. But I can watch both.
No.
We watch millions in sports.
Calm down. Take it easy. You need
good.
because
I'm
you're
telling
yelling
you-
right now.
Listen, I'm telling you because you're trying to talk over me. So I'm going to get louder than you. I'm telling you, it doesn't have to be one or the other. We can watch both.
So that the problem with that is that unfortunately, when it comes to viewership and it comes to advertising and watching a game, because that's all that matters in terms of any sport, how much revenue it brings in, how many eyes are on the screen. Would you rather watch, your TV can only be on one thing. Would you rather watch a Major League Baseball game going on or a college softball game going on? If you
College
can
softball, there's more heart in it. I love watching.
You're a liar.
I
You're
would
a liar.
watch
You're
the
a liar.
MLB game because I'm more intrigued to the MLB.
Because the way
but
they
some
market
people
the
are
MLB.
more intrigued to softball.
Exactly. And why not hit that market?
But that's a very small amount of people that are. That's what I'm saying.
No, you don't know that.
I don't
There's
think
not
so.
We know
numbers.
that because that doesn't generate as much revenue as the MLB. We do know that.
Because it's not marketed, Danny. This is so black and white, and you're missing a simple business principle. It is marketing and viewership. They're hand in hand.
Has nothing to do with marketing. Has nothing to do with marketing.
I'm not saying they could make as much as the men do.
Of course
But
not.
I could say they could make a lot more if they're
Exactly.
marketed
And they
correctly.
can.
Of
Are
course
there not
they-
girls who play sports
that's-
and watch sports?
But that's not what we're arguing. We're not saying that they can make more money because obviously they can make more money. What I'm saying is they will never be, now I'm not going to say never, but it'll be very difficult for them to make as much money as the men will. They're already at a severe gap.
I think you're being very ignorant about this.
Okay, but there's definitely a
I see both
correlation
points.
there.
I see
Exactly.
both points.
I think there has to be an understanding that it's in honesty, it's a part of it is a sociological kind of effect. It's not just that it's a company. We need to change our mindset and think, let's give light to the other.
Exactly.
I guess
Unless
so.
we're willing to change, it will never happen.
So I know when we go off air, we're going to have a totally different
No, we're
conversation.
not.
No, we're
No,
not.
exactly.
We're not.
That's it.
you saying that.
That's cool. You guys are hypocrites, but whatever.
Sure.
We're going to move on.
You're a hypocrite too.
With that being said, that actually ends this week's episode. I know we kind of ended it there on like a high,
On a high.
literally
on a high.
on a high, like on a much debated topic. But with that being said, is there anything else that you guys want to talk about real quick? We got a couple more minutes before we got to get out of here.
I just want to give a shout out real quick to the Women's World Cup team. 13-0. Congrats. Keep it up, women.
Yeah, but stop celebrating all the goals
sorry.
once you're 13-0.
Yeah,
Like,
you guys look like
I celebrate the
hypocrites.
win. Let's go.
nah, they got to learn how to be a little bit more humble.
Let's go, Canada.
All right. With that being said, check out the social media. So by the time that this episode is released, we'll have been done a Instagram live on the NBA Finals. We're gonna continue doing that. We're major sporting events, kind of make it a little bit fun. So please be checking into that Prospect Talk _ on Instagram.
Yeah, leave us feedback on our social medias. Let us know how you like that and how we can get better, guys.
Always keep sharing those ideas.
We're out.
See ya. Marcelo's the GOAT.